Hey there YouTube lovers, my name is BB8 and today I am going to share my list of the top 10 best animated movies of the 2020s so far. Because I've seen a lot of animated movies in this decade so far, and I thought, why not share a list of some of my favourites to come out of the decade so far? Because I do have a lot of animated movies that I like to come out since 2020. Unfortunately, I couldn't fit all of them onto the list, but before we get into the video, I thought I would share my honourable mentions. So my honourable mentions include Luca, Onward, Soul, Encanto, and The Bad Guys. With that being said, let's get into the top 10, shall we? Number 10, Nimona. Nimona was originally supposed to come out from Blue Sky Studios, but unfortunately they ended up shutting down in 2021. But luckily, Annapurna Pictures did revive the movie under Netflix. And this film ended up being great, because I do think it has a good art style, being cel-shaded, it has good action scenes, and it does a perfect job at balancing the story with the LGBTQ messages, since the main character Nimona herself is LGBTQ. And as a supporter, I do praise the representation in the film. Although Disney hasn't been able to get it right yet, I feel like Nimona was Disney's biggest regret, even cancelling this film. And I do hope that we get more films like Nimona in the future, even if it's not a sequel. Number 9, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. As a Turtles fan, I did have high expectations for this movie, and although those expectations weren't all the way there, because the plot isn't really the best, it was a fun time spending time with the Turtles again. Voiced by actual teenagers this time, with Spider-Verse style visuals and a great cast, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem was a fun movie, even if the story wasn't the best. And I do feel like a sequel could be better if it focused on one villain, that being Shredder. Number 8, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Probably the best movie to come out of Illumination Entertainment, and the best video game movie overall. The Super Mario Bros. Movie was fun, even if some of the casting choices didn't fit, like Chris Pratt and Anya Taylor-Joy. As a Mario fan, it was fun to point out all the Easter eggs and references to the games, and Jack Black and Seth Rogen were the standouts for me, especially with the Peaches song and the DK rap. Number 7, Elemental. I was optimistic towards this film as soon as it was announced, only because Peter Sohn, who directed The Good Dinosaur, ended up directing this, and The Good Dinosaur is within the bottom bunch for me, with Turning Red. But Elemental was actually a fun movie, and Ember is like a character I can relate to. We have similar personalities, and that's what makes Elemental special to me, because connecting with the main character makes watching a movie a bit better for me, because I can relate to the main character in there. And I do feel like Wade was a fun character as well. The visuals, the world building, and the score in Elemental were all great, but I feel like the story needed a bit of work. And I do feel like this is a good film to put on if you're going to bed or something like that. But overall, Elemental is probably one of my favourite offerings to come from Pixar in the decade so far. Number 6, Lightyear. I know this is going to be a controversial opinion, and a lot of people are going to blast me in the comments for actually liking Lightyear. But I understand that this film does get hate, but I kind of don't understand where the hate comes from. Because I know there's one plot twist in it related to Zurg, which does cause a lot of people to turn against the movie. But Buzz Lightyear was a character I grew up with. And I thought, even though Buzz Lightyear is voiced by Chris Evans and not Tim Allen, Lightyear was a good movie. The visuals were good. Socks was probably the best character in it, but the only character I couldn't stand was probably Taika Waititi's character. I mean, I liked him as Korg in the Thor movies, but unfortunately, as Mo Morrison in Lightyear, he was a bit underdeveloped. And the action scenes in it were good as well. And I would have to say, this film would have been more understandable with a sequel, but due to poor box office performance, we're probably not going to get that now. But the closest we're ever going to get to a Lightyear sequel is probably fan fiction. Number 5, Raya and the Last Dragon. Another underrated one like Lightyear, but Raya and the Last Dragon is probably up there with Moana, Wreck-It Ralph, and Big Hero 6 for me. And this probably has to be my favourite animated Disney film to come out since 2020. Because since the choreography in it was great, the animation quality was Disney at its peak. And I feel like this film should have got more attention than it deserved. Because Awkwafina as Sisu was hilarious. I mean, I didn't like her as Scuttle in the Little Mermaid remake, but Sisu in Raya and the Last Dragon was really, really funny. And the world building, the score by James Newton Howard, all contributed to this film being the most underrated Disney movie of the 2020s. And if I have to say now, I did actually prefer Raya and the Last Dragon to Encanto. And even if this doesn't get a continuation because of how it performed in the box office because of COVID, I feel like Raya and the Last Dragon is fine as a one-shot story. And if this did get a continuation, I think it would be on Disney Plus, because it did perform better on Disney Plus than it did in cinemas. Number 4, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Just to avoid confusion, 2022 had 2 Pinocchio films to my knowledge. One from Robert Zemeckis, which sucked, and the other from Guillermo del Toro, which is actually my 4th favourite animated movie of the decade so far. Although we don't get that much stop-motion animated movies anymore, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio was a good shot at that. And although this version of Pinocchio is more faithful to the book, with the themes of war, unlike Disney's version, which has Pleasure Island, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is the most faithful version of Pinocchio that exists. I don't care what Disney fans have to say about this version of Pinocchio, but this version of Pinocchio is faithful to the book. Number 3, The Mitchells vs. the Machines. Originally titled Connected, The Mitchells vs. the Machines was a fun animated road trip movie, which is probably my favourite animated movie of 2021, in front of Raya and the Last Dragon to come from Disney. The Mitchells vs. the Machines does have a good cast of characters to work with, and I feel like mixing a road trip movie with a robot apocalypse, with an animation like Spider-Verse, with Lord and Miller involved with the project, made it a fun time, especially with some of the animation elements used in it, like Katie Vision, did make this film pop out a lot. And this film is one I still need to rewatch. It's that good. Number 2, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Probably my favourite DreamWorks film now. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish has vibrant visuals. The storytelling in it was clever, and I really, really loved the fight scenes in it. Characters like Jack Horner and Death were probably the best characters in it, and I loved the new arc that they gave for Puss. And I hope that this does lead into a 5th Shrek. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Shrek the Third, and the first Puss in Boots was fine, but the sequel was a far cry from the first film. And Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is definitely a film I would come back to. Number 1, even though this answer would have already been obvious, but Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. When you go up to someone in public and ask them what their favourite animated movie of the whole decade is, it wouldn't be a hard answer, because Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was my favourite animated movie of 2023 and my favourite overall movie of 2023. Because it has a good balance of character development and storytelling, and it explains the multiverse even better than other multiverse films like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which only tackled between 2 different universes. And I do like the arc they gave Miguel O'Hara as well, and the amount of animation styles they experimented with in this movie. Even the Lego one was fun. I feel like this film elevates with its score, because I'm not gonna lie, it was a crime that this film was not nominated for Best Score at the Oscars. And I really, really, really am curious to see how it all ends in Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. So guys, it's been a while since I've uploaded a video on my personal channel, but I thought I'd upload something, that being this. So, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and turn your notification bell on so you don't miss another video like this one. And I will see you all in a future video. BB8 out.